Hey everybody, quick question. What's the best off-ice puck you've ever used? Well, our friends at Hockey Tutorial called the new Puck Around Pro Training Puck the greatest off-ice puck they've ever seen. And after testing it ourselves, we get why. This thing is a game changer. It's the same size and weight as a real ice hockey puck, and it's been designed with a scientifically engineered core that gives you the same on-ice feel for puck handling and shooting off the ice. That's not something we've ever seen before. They've even added a crosshatch design for better grip and authentic feel. This is the most realistic off-ice puck ever and trusted by players and coaches, whether you're training in the driveway, on the street, or on the outdoor rink. We know this is something that you and your kids are going to want, so we put together a great deal for you. For a limited time, use the code OKPH at wraparoundhockey.com and you'll get a nice discount on a 2-pack of the Puck Around Pro Training Puck. Again, that's wraparoundhockey.com, or click the link accompanying this episode at any time. It's a tremendous gift for your hockey player and a great Hello, hockey friends and families around the world, and welcome back to another edition of Our Kids Play Hockey. It's Lee Elias with Christie Burns and Mike Benelli today, and I have been asked to step down as host of this show. You've heard it right here on this episode only. Sorry for those of you who may have wanted that for longer, because Christie Burns is going to take over today. She has questions for Mike and I, and she said, I'm going to come on today, and I'm going to run this show. And Mike and I were said, that's great. We love that idea. Christie, yeah. I'm going to hand the mic over to you.
You guys are in the hot seat today.
I like it.
So the topic today is coaching, and are you cut out to be a coach? Both of you have quite a bit of experience as coaches. So let's start out introducing both of you to our audience. Levels of coaching. Mike, I know you've probably coached at all different levels of hockey. Tell everybody how much coaching experience you have and who you've coached, what ages.
And how you still have your hair, man? Like, mine's gone. I don't understand how you have a full head of hair
question.
there.
I have no stress. I have no stress.
No stress.
So I've coached at every level. I've coached, formally at pro level, NCAA, Division III, club, ACHA, prep school, high school. I think my largest chunk is in youth hockey, obviously, because of the my beginning in my career was from coaching to building rinks and building programs. So I've got an opportunity to work with boys, girls, disabled athletes, blind athletes, hearing impaired athletes. So it's been a very fun journey coaching wise, and also get to dabble a little bit in lacrosse coaching as well. So I would say I think I've covered the full gamut of coaching opportunities for myself.
Which makes you the perfect voice on this podcast. And we appreciate when you chime in and share your experiences and observations. It's so helpful. And Lee, tell everybody how much coaching experience you have and where you've been, where it's taken you.
Yeah, I feel like Mike's a mentor to me. I kind of follow in his footsteps. So it's funny. My coaching journey began by accident. I had just been graduated out of undergrad for a few years, and I had a short cup of coffee in the minors or semi-pro. And then suddenly the collegiate team that I played for needed a coach. And I believe I was 22, 23 years old. And I kind of took the job to somebody saying, why would you want to do this? That's what they said to me in my interview. So I started out as a head coach in college. And from there, like Mike, I've been all over the place. I've coached pro in Europe, international hockey recently, spent a lot of time in youth hockey and college as well. So it's all over the place. Mike reminded me too, it's important. We've coached other sports too. I've worked with basketball teams and football teams and across the board, different things. But really, there's no age group that I haven't coached now at this point. But really, that experience, Christie, of across the board has only made the coaching better, right, from the knowledge standpoint.
Another reason why it's great to have both of you on this podcast because of your levels of experience. But I'm just curious. So when coaching comes calling, how do you know you're cut out for it? Let's say there are men and women listening right now, kind of on the fence about coaching. What does it take today to be a coach? How do you know you're right for the job? Lee, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I'm thinking about that question as you ask it. It's actually quite hard to describe, Christy. It's part of the obsession of the sport, right? Just your love for the game, but a desire to teach and share what you've learned along the way. I mean, I think that's how it starts, right? Is that you want to share what you know. Now, we've talked about this a lot on the show. The early years of that can look very different than the later years. I think in the early years, I had a little bit more of I need to tell you what I know. That was kind of the attitude. And over time, that's evolved into I'm so fortunate to be able to share the knowledge with these people. A little bit of ego and non-ego there, but the desire to teach and then also to lead, as a group, obviously, but to get people together to believe in something communally is really a special thing. And it takes a special type of person. It might, Mike, and I say this to Mike too, it might be even easier to know if you don't want to do it, right? I think the people who don't want to do it are like, yeah, I don't ever want to be behind the bench.
That's fair.
But there's a calling, right, Mike? I mean, there's this feeling of like, I have to share this. And I want to lead teams to a place where they can grow and learn and obviously win. Like winning is part of it. It's addictive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean it's an interesting question because I'm not even sure if I'm still able to do it. Like it's because you go into every opportunity hopefully with a different mindset and a different structure and a different outcome that you expect, or you go into it with a different expectation. I think having coached it, I look at a guy like Schaefer, right, at Cornell right now. And here's a guy who's coached at one level for one team for 35 years, and how hard that is, but also how great that must be. But even if you listen to a guy like him, he'll even talk about every year he reinvents how he's going to coach and who he's going to coach. So I don't think I think it's one of those things when you go into I guess if you want to call it a calling or a curse, whatever it is that you get into it. I mean, I got into coaching. It was really more out of a necessity to work. And I felt I enjoyed being a skills coach. I enjoyed working with young athletes. I enjoyed it's kind of like being an official, right? You probably asked an official the same way. Like, how do you deal with the negativity and and all the questioning and the if you're making, like, it's like one of those things, right? If everybody's happy, you're probably not a great coach. and you're probably not doing the best job. But it's at the same time, if everybody's upset and mad, so it's a real balancing act. But I think it takes the ability to have, to be able to self-reflect, be able to, I think, be humble, even when you know you're right. Like me, right. I think I'm right 100% of the time, most of the time. So, but you have to understand that there's ways to approach that and convincing other people, and that you're kind of leading that your way is the right way.
Right. And I'm glad you brought up Coach Schaefer, because I don't know if you saw the game against Michigan when they won, how emotional he got. And he's retiring, so he's going out real high right now because that was an improbable win. So you can see, I mean, he'd been doing it for years and years and years, but yet at that moment, it was like so new and so fresh and just kind of the culmination of just 35 incredible years, right? So you think, wow, what a rewarding career for this man that he was able to coach and feel that emotion and joy at that moment. That was a thing of beauty. Yeah.
Christy, you're tapping on a great point that, I always say to coaches, there's no two teams I've ever coached that were the same. And I always say this too, that even if I have the same exact athletes, it's never the same. Like, because people evolve, teams evolve, the game evolves. And, one of the things too I want to add is just, it's funny, Ted Lasso really summed this up so well. It's just, I love coaching. I love it. I really love it. And helping people see the potential best versions of themselves through sport is such a gift. I mean, and that really is the crux of the whole thing. At most levels, right? Obviously, when you get to professional coaching, you have to win, you have to succeed. But what I just said still plays a massive role in that, right? It's not win at all costs without that. right? And I don't think coaches can succeed today with that. And, again, just to close the loop on this, when I was playing in college, I'll never forget this. I was very actively playing. I was not thinking about coaching at all. And I remember my college coach came up to me and he said, you ever think about coaching? And I remember I was like, no way. Like, I'm a hockey player. I'm not at all interested in coaching. He just looked me right in the eye. He says, well, I see coaching you. And that always weirds me out because he recognized it really early. And I had no desire at that point in my life to do it. So I don't want to say it's something you have or you don't. I think you can grow into it. But there is a love there and an obsession there that has to be there.
Yeah.
I didn't like that when my coaches would say, hey, Mike, I think you'd be a good coach. And because I always took it as, I think he thinks I'm a really bad player. He's like, okay, we got to get this guy off the ice, get him on the bench.
Yeah. Let's get him off the ice.
How do you do it nicely?
But you raised a good point earlier, Mike, about there's some harsh criticism. So you got to be able to put some Teflon on at times and just be able to have it deflect and just bounce right off of you. Have there been times when the criticism got to the point where, you wanted to walk away from coaching? Or how did you reassess everything and hit the reset button so that you could go in the next day and say, okay, we're regrouping. I'm not quitting. I'm not giving up. I know I can do the right thing for future hockey players.
It's basically the conversation I have with myself on Sunday nights. I mean, because I think I think people, you get into coaching because you feel like you're good at it and you feel like you can lead groups of people. And at the youth level, it's so different than coaching at college and pro. The worlds are starting to get gray a little bit, but back in the day when I was, beginning to coach, like I love the college atmosphere because I really didn't have any interaction with the parents. It was all about the athlete. And, and then when you're coaching at high school and prep school, it's more about the athlete, but there's obviously, people, they have to get to the games. They have to get to the practice. Somebody's got to pay for all this stuff. So then you're dealing with the parents more. And now that you're doing youth hockey, it's all parents. It's really the kids are like third on the list, so after, the administration and the parents and everybody else saying, then I get to work with the kids. So there's always, to have a thick skin and have the ability to, I think just feel, really confident in what you're doing and knowing that you're going to get criticized. But also, we've talked that a million times in the show is that I try to, and I've learned the hard way, right? That they're trying to build communication aspects into what I do and redundancy into making sure that schedules are correct and the timing is correct. And that I'm not telling somebody like at 3:00 in the afternoon that we have practice at 7 p.m. Like those are things like when I was a non-parent coach, like I really could care less. I'm like, tomorrow morning we have practice at 6 a.m. Oh, it's Martin Luther King weekend. People are away. I don't care. What do I care? We have a hockey game. Like I have to coach. I'm coaching my team. So the more you want less stress in your life and less people, throwing arrows at you, just communicate more and be a little bit more inclusive into, depending on what level you're coaching, being more inclusive to the rest of the group, because everyone has people pulling them in different directions. And, you get the opportunity to, to find that common ground for everyone. So there's certainly many, many times I'm like, what the hell am I like? Why would I do this? No. This is dumb. Like I'm losing money. I'm losing time. I'm losing opportunity. I'm losing opportunity with my own family so I could help somebody else's family who really doesn't appreciate what I'm doing. But again, it's finding the right people and I will say this, there are thousands of more people that I feel have appreciated what I've done than the ones that are the loudest that don't appreciate it.
Well, that's good to know. And so Lee, I'll ask you, how thick has your skin gotten as a coach?
Yeah. Mike, I don't remember who said this quote, but it's so true. It's when we win games, the players did it. When we lose games, the coaches did it. All right. And
the goal.
And the goal. Yeah. And that's so true. It's funny, Christie, that I'll preface this because everything Mike said is correct. I'll actually go a different direction with it. That I have never lost my hatred of losing ever, right? But I have learned to mature in how I deal with it. So when I was younger, losses would hit me so hard emotionally, right? And Mike's not joking. I mean, after a huge loss, the thoughts that go through your head are like, why am I doing this? This is so. Why do I put up with this pain?
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, it's like, and then you start dissecting the game or the players, and like you can find a billion reasons why you lost, and then you kind of stick with it, and then eventually you win, and it's like the opposite of like it's all worth it, every bit of pain. And I think over
all
time,
because of me.
Yeah, that's the younger. If I wasn't here, this wouldn't happen. No, but over my 20 plus years, I think I've learned to balance those emotions and understand that, like Mike says, like, and again, look, you could lose an 8U tournament or a pro championship. And there is a difference in terms of how much it sucks, but they both suck. It still hurts either way.
Right.
And I think that I've just learned how to understand okay, after a loss, I'm going to feel a certain way. And you got to get yourself past that. They're normal emotions. And I can confirm here, and Mike, I'm sure you would agree that the majesty of victory, winning a huge championship, really does make the losses worth it, assuming that you're pursuing that, right? So like the big wins are so much bigger than the losses are hard for me, all right? I know there's a lot of coaches out there, I just hate losing more than I love winning. To me, the truth is there's a balance in there somewhere. I think coaches that say that, it's cliche, all right? Because I really hate losing. I mean, anybody who knows me knows that. I don't take losses well, but I'm not afraid to say I love winning too. Like I love to win. Why would I not want to win? So I think from an emotional standpoint, again, for the coaches listening, we're talking about, are you cut out to be a coach? You do have to learn how to kind of balance those emotions. And you're going to have, I haven't mastered this yet. You're just going to have negative thoughts after a loss. It just comes. I'm able to tell myself, like, don't listen to that monkey brain. Take a day, take a minute, get back out there. Because, and I'll finalize it by saying this, Christie. I think the longest I've ever gone after a big loss before needing to get back out there again was maybe 2 weeks. Like, and I remember it was 2 weeks. I was really in a bad spot, like mentally, but eventually it's just, I miss it. You miss it. You want to go back to it. Right. So it never breaks up with you, Christie. You can't get away with,
This is a great conversation. I'm curious too. What kind of a resume do you need to be a youth hockey coach today?
Mike, go with that one.
It's like, hey, I coach college hockey, or I was a college hockey player. Can I be your coach? How much training do you need? What kind of background do you need to be a youth hockey coach these days?
I mean, Mike, you want me to dive in that one? You want to?
Maybe a good Instagram account. I think you have to have.
Yeah,
I think so I don't think you have to have any qualifications whatsoever. Unfortunately, I think what happens is you can, if you want. So okay, you go in, you want to be a coach. You obviously you don't even have to have played. Honestly, I tell people all the time. I whatever it might sound, whatever it is. I am the best lacrosse coach I know. I didn't play high school lacrosse. But I know the game. I know the game. I know how to teach. I know how to coach. I know what my athletes end up doing. I know how good they get, and I know how much they love being on the field every day. But I didn't play lacrosse. So, but now are there people that played that understand the fundamental game and where your hand should be and your body and lanes and gapping and riding? Yes, but I surround myself with all those good people. Like I make sure I find those right people. So what makes you qualified to be a great coach right now? I think somebody that can be a sponge and have an opportunity to have no ego and to fill the void of what you're missing with education, experience, and passion. And if you could find those people to help you and drive all those aspects, anybody could coach. You just have to want to be able to give up, 27 weekends of your life in hockey and not get paid. It's kind of like teaching, so you have to, just have to give it all up. But if you want to be, honestly, I think the qualifications from a coach, again, you don't have to have played. You don't have to have any skill in the game. You just have to have a real good understanding of, human behavior and how people react to stimulus and honestly, have a passion, whatever age group you're doing, to show how much you love being out there working with those athletes.
Okay, Lee.
Yeah, it's a great question, Christie. So first up with youth hockey, I'm with Mike. You could have all the experience or none of the experience. There really is no prerequisite for you to dive into the game. But I can tell you, it's interesting conversations I've had from both sides, right? If you coached really high level or played, actually, let me say that, at a really high level, that doesn't always translate well to the youth level. And adversely, if you've never coached, sometimes that translates really well. I can think of a coach in my mind right now from this past year who's pretty green to coaching. And he always says, I'm new to this. And it's like, you're doing great, because he's coaching young kids and he's really put the kids' enjoyment of the game first. And he has done a tremendous job. His name's Andrew. I can tell you that right now. He's done a tremendous job. The kids all want to come back. They had a wonderful time. They're friends. To me, at a youth age, that's way more important than the hockey. I mean, the resources are there for you if you're a green coach and you don't know what drills to do. There's infinite resources to build a practice plan, to develop the kids. I just love that the attitude he brought. And he got pushback this year about some of the development aspects of the game. And he just handled them really well. Like, look, I'm all for your kids' development, but the kids have to love coming to hockey. He just had such a firm grip on that.
Right.
The other thing I'll say too, Christie, is that especially if you're an aspiring coach, the learning never ends. Whether you've been doing this 0 years or 20 years, the learning never ends, and you should be yearning to learn. If at this point of my coaching career, I'm a voracious learner. Right. And when I was younger, it wasn't that way. It was Mike said, I know what I'm doing. Whereas it's now I'm like, no, I want to learn as much as I can. And I have learned from coaches who have coached youth hockey. Again, look, I've been coaching youth hockey, 5-6 years now with my own kids. The first couple of years, I was working with youth coaches, never played at a high level, never coached at a high level, but they had been coaching hockey for 3 or 4 years. And I told them, I want to learn from you. They're like, but Lee, they said it. You've played at this, you've coached. It's not youth hockey. I've never done this. You've done it. You have the experience. I want to learn from you. So you got to bring that attitude no matter what level, what age, what experience. You got to always be learning. I think that's the prerequisite. That's the resume, Christie. I'm excited to learn about the game and teach these kids.
Okay.
I think at the same time, that's true of the other way too. If you're not willing to explore and learn, and you're not willing to immerse yourself into a place where like I know when I first started coaching, and I was a pretty good hockey player and I was coached by really good coaches. I did everything I could to be around coaches.
Yeah.
College coaches, preps coaches. If I found out somebody was coming in town doing I distinctly remember like Tim Taylor from Yale coming in to do some kind of a program. And I'm like, can I just sit in the locker room with you? Like, can I just come and do this for, and I think the first instinct now in our world of youth hockey is, hey, I'd like to coach. Great. How much do I get paid for that? If that's your first question, and like,
you want to be paid?
Again, if that's like the first question that comes out of in an interview for a coach, it's a huge red flag. It's
right.
Tell me who's on your coaching staff, and can I sit in with every one of them?
Can I dive in on that? Let's Christie, if it's okay with you, let's dive into how to get paid, because that could be an eye-opening, very eye-opening thing. First off, you're going to suffer financially for a while before you really get paid. Unless you are like a retired NHL player that wants to dive in or you have a name, you're going to suffer financially in this game for a minute. And you're going to have to probably volunteer to do it before you get any real money. And I'm not talking
unless you live in
$100 a week.
County, Connecticut. But other than that, yeah.
Well, my point is this: like, you're not going to make real money, like salary money, in this game for a while. And the thing is, and this ties the whole conversation together, Christie and Mike, is that you better have a real love for this and would be willing to do it for free. Because almost all the great coaches I know have or would be willing to do it for free because they love it so much. All right. Then, once you do build up that resume, it's a buyer beware situation. If you're getting paid, you can also be fired. And you better be ready for that, because if you don't perform or you lose the locker room, I mean, we talk about youth coaching. Pro coaching is a battlefield in a lot of ways, right? And we see it every year in the NHL. All right. Now, I will say this too. I'm not trying to scare you. If you love it, pursue it. But it's not an easy road, right? Like I every single day multiple times a day, give thanks that I make money doing what I love to do. All right. I never take that for granted. I don't take the show for granted. Right. I have nothing but gratitude that I get to wake up every day and do what I love. But, we always talk about people, oh, you're so lucky. The work that went into getting here, which I'm not bitching about, but there was a tremendous amount of work that went into this on the back end, a lot of pain, a lot of wins, a lot of stuff happened before I was able to get a dime or a pound when I was coaching in England for that point. All right. Yeah. So it's a road. And Mike, am I wrong in saying you better be obsessed in that, well, I was going to say healthy way. There's no healthy obsession, but you better be obsessed and willing to do it for nothing if you want to get to that level. Because I don't think there's any pathway there other than what I said about, being a retired NHL player. It's going to pay off.
Yeah, I mean, you think about the assistant coaches in college hockey and the years and years and years of working summer camps, working summer jobs, finding ways to live. Maybe you're fortunate to have come from a family that wants to support you for as long as they can. Maybe you're in a situation where you can, like the everybody sees the coach that's coaching at the highest level and making the big money. But for most of us, it's all these coaches that go through years and years of honing their craft and working the room and being on the road and, being in locker rooms that maybe you don't even like the head coach, but you're just there learning, working, building your resume and then, finding a way to, get your opportunity. Some people never get the opportunity. Some people, and at the same time, some people love being behind the scenes and being an assistant coach and being just the girl or the guy who gets to teach rather than do all the administration. I mean, it's funny. Like, so, if you're thinking about coaching, it's a funny thing how when you start being a head coach, you get to coach less, like,
it's so true.
You become an administrator,
manager.
So there's always so much more. Like I tell you, last year I got an opportunity to coach with a really great coach. And I got to be an assistant coach and I got to coach. Like I got to really be the person that that could be I could be in the hallway. Like, yeah, I know. Terrible play by the coach. I can't believe it. Awesome. But I mean, but just I could be in a place where I could be an advocate for the kids.
For the kids,
And I could be a really good sounding board for the coach. And I didn't have to, I wasn't bogged down with all the other stuff that goes on with being a head coach at whatever level you're at. I mean, it's about Lee brings up other coaches all the time about, where they're at in their careers. But, after a game, you can't just go have a beer. Like you got to go to a press conference.
Yeah, it's work.
You got to work with this. You got to go deal with agents. You got to deal with disgruntled parents. You got to deal with
and keep your cool. And you got to keep your cool while you're doing it.
I can't tell you how many times in my life as a hockey director or head coach that I've come at the end of all the social events that we've had after tournaments and games. I was putting out every fire there was.
Yeah.
And everybody else was just hanging out, having wings and beer. And like, hey, where you been? I go, I'm cleaning up your mess for 3 hours. Like, so again, it's all, or my own mess. So it's just like, again, it's I love, I mean, it's all perspective. And, Lee mentioned it the other day, like sometimes it takes a week or two to get over bad seasons and losses and disappointments. But at the but if you sign back in to go again, either it's, you're insane. Right. Because you keep trying to do the same thing over and over again without getting the same results. But but at the same time, it's so rewarding when you do break through. And it's not just about wins. And I know it's cliche because I would joke like people that say that aren't, don't win. So of course they have to find other ways to make a win. But I really like when I see players succeed and when I see situations that we're in and we come out on top, not with a championship, but with improved play, with great behavior, with great sportsmanship, with great mentorship, like all those kind of things, I chalk those up as victories.
It's all about how you define winning, Mike. Right. And again, on the surface level, if you're just a fan, winning is winning the games or winning the championship. But as a coach, I just refuse. That cannot be my only definition of winning. I think, Mike,
well, if it is, you're going to lose most of your career. Like, so if the definition is a championship, then you're going to lose every year.
Right.
Like,
so you're bringing up a great point.
Ways to make all those things work.
As a coach, I have to have a lot of different wins that when you add them all together, Mike, to your point, that creates that big championship win eventually. But I said it earlier in the show, if we're not helping the athletes become better versions of themselves, and again, it's at every level, that's youth all the way up to pro. If we're not helping them find that, I don't know if winning a championship is really possible, right? That's part of the management. And Mike, you bring up a great point too about head coaching versus assistant coaching. They're very, very different roles. And again, Christie, you're an interviewer. I mean, we just talked about it. After a tough loss, you get like 10 minutes and then someone's in your face with a microphone going, hey, why'd you lose the game? And you have to not throw your players under the bus. You can't say what you're actually thinking unless you're John Tortorella, right? And it's like, it's tough. I mean, you really have to collect yourself, and there's not really a moment to come down. And like you said, I just want a beer sometimes,
right?
You know what I mean? It's like, and you can't do that.
Yeah, and you know, there are many times you see those hot-headed coaches behind a microphone. And,
sometimes I won't come out.
Back, right?
If I don't think I can control myself,
you got me now, and I'm just gonna let loose. So,
yeah, I really do try and gauge. Like, if I really feel like if I'm like bursting at the seams with anger, I typically won't walk out. I'll like I got to get myself collected.
Good call.
Yeah. All right, that especially with kids. Not that we do interviews with kids. But I won't even go in the locker room if I'm mad. Just I have to they don't deserve that.
Well, the press, and we've talked about this on the multiple podcasts, right? The press is the parents. Like, so if you're going to walk in.
Why didn't you put my kid out there? Why didn't you put him out?
I mean, they actually, now that I think about it, like every lobby and rink should have a podium. Like, I think that would be great. I think that would be a great addition to any rink, to just walk in and have like a coach's podium. You just stand there and go ahead, give it to me.
Yeah, and Mike, I noticed that my son only had 3 minutes of ice time tonight. He's clearly the best winger on the team.
Right, don't blind text me. Don't talk behind my back. I'm right here on the podium. Go ahead, ask the questions.
Fire away. Come on.
Your kid can't make a backhand pass, and that's why he's not playing left wing.
Right, but learning how to deal with that adversity is a learned behavior. Like learning that you don't have control of yourself at a certain time, and not going to the podium is a learned behavior. That's true. It's not flying off the handle and saying, well, we would have won if the defenseman would have made a stupid, wouldn't have made that dumb play coming out of the zone. You can't do that with 8-year-olds. So I think it's like, I mean, you could.
You can't.
But it's really just the perspective of where, meet the moment of where you're at, who are you coaching, what level you're coaching.
Right.
8U coaches that are some of the greatest coaches I've ever been around never win a championship because they're never in championships. They're just coaching. They're just teaching. They're just great. Like, they're people that say, I love where I'm at. I'm station 6 guy, and I will be this person for the next 15 years. And I love it. We need more of those.
Yeah. And Mike, I definitely think you're on to something. We need a kiss and cry corner at every rink with a
we might have to make that
and a
video.
microphone so that we can just let it out. Let's go. Round 1, round 2.
You get them.
Both of you mentioned levels of coaching, and this could be brand new for a lot of parents who are new to the game of hockey. There are different levels of coaching. A friend of mine just finished level 4. So there are actual training courses you can take with USA Hockey. Is it necessary? What does that mean? I'm a level 4 coach. I mean, do you put that right after your name? Youth hockey coach level 4. What does that even mean? Does it make a difference?
So now I'm
how high does it go to?
So just from a USA Hockey perspective, what I've been working with USA Hockey for, I don't know, 25 years, 30 years, that, in the coaching education program, there are certain levels of coaching education. And that was really, it's gotten, I don't want to say stricter, but it's definitely more defined and put together now because we all have to make sure that coaches have certain levels of certification just to cover our own butt and to make sure that at least they understand the philosophy and the values that the governing bodies are teaching. Right. So, I mean, listen, there are hundreds of level 5 coaches that I would never let coach my kids ever, because that just because you were able to sit through 3 days of seminars doesn't make you a great coach. It shows that you've made some type of commitment. But I think what often happens, what I hear a lot, especially from the coaching education point, is like, oh, I did my level 4. Am I done with this now? Thank God. Like, that's not, to me, that's not that certification level then means nothing to that coach. So the certification level is just a check in the box. What I look for is, are you going through the certifications, but then what are you doing for your continuing education, whether you're getting credit for it or not? Like if you're a coach that the last course you went to was 1992, and you said, I got my level 4 from USA Hockey in 1992, so I don't have to go to anything else anymore, then I'm not sure I want you around the kids. And I think it even goes like what I think USA Hockey's done a great job of, from my opinion and from my point of view, is even pro guys that get out of the game that want to coach have to go through level 1. Right. They don't think, sometimes they get waivers to bypass some other levels, but level 1 is the core is, what is USA Hockey? What are we teaching? Why are we teaching it? And how is it so much different than when you played? Because it is a lot different, the philosophy and the discussions around, how we talk to athletes. And it's funny how the coaching program now is going less about X's and O's and more about human development. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a good thing. I think that's a good thing for everyone. But as far as your certifications go, the old, want to coach, you got to do a background check. You want to coach, you got to do you got to do a you got to get certified. And you want to coach, you probably have to do CPR and first aid. If you want to coach, you got to have continuing education credits and be up to date with your membership. Those are just parts of being a part of a large body that oversees the sport. I don't think any of those things are bad things, but I do think it's a bad thing is that if that's the only education you're doing, to me, I don't know. That's probably not like a coach that should be getting paid to coach.
Okay. What level are you?
I'm a level 5. Come on. No, well, back in the day, they used to call it master level coach. So I'm a master level coach.
You've got a master's degree.
But again, I really cringe at the level. I am actually pretty proud of how I got it and why I got it. But I'm more proud of all the coaching stuff I do out after my level 5, all the coaches site conferences I go to, all the Roger Nielsen's coaches conferences I go to, all the NHL Coaches Association conferences I go to. Like those are the kind of things that for me are much more valuable than, the 2-day course that I took. It's more about, are you a coach that's continuing to educate yourself on the modern aspects of the game and leaning on the history of the game, from what you've done as a teacher.
Right. And we're so grateful that you have all that education and you're level 5. Lee, you've been through the different levels. How far did you get, and what did you get out of it?
Yeah, look, I'm actually currently level 3. I'm actually the living embodiment of what Mike talked about, is that I went on USA Hockey in the back end, and it's only because I got into youth coaching. So it's funny to say is I won my first pro championship with no certification. Right? I was not certified at all, and follow me here, like you didn't need it at that point. It wasn't a prerequisite to coach at that level, right?
Right.
So I had done probably 15 years of coaching before I really needed, quote unquote, USA Hockey training. Now here's what I say, and I actually wrote this down and underlined it. And I think this is the big truth with USA Hockey and the coaching courses. You will get out of those courses what you put in. Okay. So if you go into that course, even level 1, and I tried not to do this, thinking, this is going to be so basic and stupid. I mean, well, you're going to have a miserable time. I went into level 1 with, I'm going to see what this is about, right? And there was, while there was a lot of it I understood, there was also a few little golden nuggets there, but I never thought about that, and they do these breakout sessions where you have to discuss with other coaches. If you have a great group that's talking, you're going to learn something, right? You get out of it what you put in. Now, the other thing, which is funny, I think if it was either level 2 or level 3, whenever I did that certification, I'm about to do level 4, right? The funny part, I'll tell both of this, was I'm in one of the breakout rooms and one of them's looking at me, goes, "You're the guy from that podcast." Oh, I swear to God it happened. And I'm like, yeah, it's me. And then we went back in the main room and the guy running it goes, "Oh, yeah, Lee's here from Our Kids Play Hockey." I had no idea he was going to call me out. But what was cool and what I appreciated about that was I had no problem with them showcasing, like, here's a guy that has coached a long time, runs a very popular podcast, and he's here. And I was very complimentary back to them too. I will say too that and Mike, this, the leaders in the people running the course make a difference. They try and be as energetic as they can. USA Hockey always seems to bring in some experts, in terms of someone who's been doing it a long time. But you get out of it what you put in. If you approach it with a negative attitude, you're going to get that. And Mike, to your point too, I like how they've expanded it with these coaches courses. I've taken and it's not a prerequisite actually before level 4, but I've taken some of those additional courses on goaltending just because I was interested. Again, kind of going back to the I love learning. But I'll just finalize by saying this. You do need it to coach youth hockey, 100%. I understand why they do it. It makes a lot of sense. But it is also not needed per se to be a great coach. You can do that on your own as well. But this is a certification you have to get to qualify.
Okay.
Right. And I would say, too, if you are one of those great coaches, if you're somebody that played at a high level, had great coaches, you coach pro hockey before you started coaching youth hockey. Like you don't need a level 1 to coach in the NHL, right? So if you coached at a high level, you played at a high level, that's what's so much more important for you to be in these, because you get to be in the breakout room with the dads and moms that have never coached before. They're in the same boat, but they can learn so much more from you. So I even running these courses for whatever, 15, 20 years, like in my district, one of the things I loved the most was having these established players that have played at the highest level and been around the greatest Olympic coaches and Division I coaches and pro coaches and Hall of Famers. And they're in the same room and they get to add their insight. And then me as I'm some plumber that's coaching my kid for the first time. I get to go and say, well, that guy played in the NHL. And I can learn from him. Just like hopefully I'm calling that guy up when I, spring a leak in the bathroom. Like, I'm not trying to fix it myself. So I think it's the same. It's just the ability to say none of this works, right? None of youth hockey works without volunteer coaches. None of it. And none of it works without really energized people to come in. But the certification allows us to get more people in the door. I guess, a lot of people would say it hinders because we put so much. I mean, you're looking at, 8 hours of this and 5 hours of that. And you got to do this module and that background check. And yes, but you know what? The world we live in, we've got to do those kind of things. Yeah. But to Lee's point, make sure when you do it, go in with an open mind, learn something, take something out of it, and give something back in it.
Yeah, there has never been one of those courses, Christie and Mike, where, and this is true because last year we have to share a lot of drills within the course, and without fail, there is a coach who's been doing it for 2 years or 3 years, and they share a drill I've never seen before, and I love it. And it's just there can't be an ego in that room. We're all trying to help the kids. That's why we're here. You're not taking a USA coaching course to not coach youth hockey.
Right.
And learn. And look, I always say too, like some of these other things we have to do, like the FBI checks, which are not hard to do, right? We make it sound like hard, but it's like when people complain about gas prices going up 10 cents. I'm not saying there's people not down on their luck financially, but if you're getting 20 gallons of gas and it's 10 cents extra, I don't think we do a good job of keeping perspective how much extra money that is. And again, I'm not downplaying. That could be a lot of money for some families, but you'll also go out and buy a $7 cup of coffee right after getting that gas. Yeah. So it's like, you got to just keep things in perspective. Some of these things.
Try driving a Silverado around the hockey game.
I don't have it. I have a Kia for a reason.
We're about 10 cents.
Yeah.
Mike, I want to circle back to something that you said, and this is really an important part of coaching today. As you said, less about the X's and O's and more about the human development. How challenging is it now to coach knowing that you also have to balance the challenges of kids who, might be struggling right now, and the dynamics of teaching, trying to raise not just good hockey players but also good people too. So let's talk about that, the whole opportunity to lead these young minds in a good direction. Here's your chance to do that. And sometimes you might be the best role model for that kid in their life.
Yeah, or the only. It is. So my evolution of this has been really challenging, right? Because I think when I look back as an 18 and 19, 20-year-old coach, I'd be horrified at the things that I did. Like that I look back now and I see other kids, other players doing it. I'm like, or other coaches doing it now. I'm like, so today we have, I don't know, like today we have much more education. Today we have the players are much more educated. They have much more exposure to other things that are going on out there. I think they have a lot more stresses. I think they have a lot more FOMO. I think the parents have a lot more, we've talked about this a number of times on the show where when I grew up, I only had like maybe 2 programs I could go to, maybe. And really, I never thought about going to another one because you just didn't happen. You got cut from one team and just went down to the lower team. Like you didn't go, oh, I didn't make that team, so now I'm going to go an hour away and make that team. Like, so it didn't, and that's changed. But I think I think the successful coaches, even back then, even though I did things I wasn't proud of or happy that I did and felt like I had to do, I still think I was able to reach players at a personal level where the X's and O's really were irrelevant. Like, my original, coaching resume wasn't an X's and O resume. I was like, oh man, I have the best system in the world for everyone to play. And that's why we're going to win. It was, wow, I can really connect with these kids because I was around their same, like when I coached college hockey, I think I was 28 years old, my first college hockey head coaching job. And I had players on my team that were 24.
Yeah.
Like, so I think about like, I had to go to different bars, like different towns to go out and have dinner because, the guys would be, so it would be a different aspect, but I want to and I didn't have the chops to say, well, I'm a college coach, but I thought, you have to connect with them on a personal level and really get to know them. I think I did a fairly good job of that. I think I missed a mark on certainly a number of kids. But I think it's all a matter of you learn and you embrace the opportunities you have to say, oh boy, I probably would have done that a little differently. And then hopefully the next group you have, you learn and you grow and you changed maybe the way that you approach each team and each player. But it is, I just think it's more challenging now than it's ever been, only because the vehicles to make it challenging they're more. Like if you let's use, for instance, we'll bring this up as far as getting into coaching. Like there's a thing called Safe Sport, right? So Safe Sport is supposed to help us all manage and work with our students and protect our coaches, right? It's supposed to be so coaches aren't in locker rooms alone with players and inappropriate behavior with athletes and supporting them. But it's a double-edged sword, right? Because now parents can have a Safe Sport violation anonymously without any incident and just bring it up, and the coach is suspended, and there's no recourse for that. Like there's no appeal. It's just this is a fact, right? This just happens. It's like, well, of course they're probably right. I'm like, no, why don't we ask them why this happened? It's because my kid got cut from that team. So when I would cut a kid, back in the early 90s, they just got cut. Now they get cut, and now they look to lash out and find ways to hurt you as a coach and you as an organization.
Brutal.
They're enabled.
That is brutal.
They're enabled to have that ability to do that. So
Brutal.
It's just like it's just like the portal right now. If you don't know that college has a portal where if a player could not be happy and they want to make more money, or they're just not happy because they don't like the situation, another coach in your conference can take them. Like right now, college hockey is still being played right now, and there are kids on teams that are playing that are in the portal.
Oh yeah,
it's crazy.
You're right. The first day that the portal opened, there were 700 athletes on the first day in the portal. 700, and I think last year there were 2,000. It's probably going to double this year. Yeah,
right. And you think about the challenges back in the day, like good or bad. Like when I coach, it was like my way or the highway. Now it's like, whoa, please stay, and can I help you, and what can I do?
A lot of coaches quit because of this now.
Right.
Well, or they just thrown their hands up. I mean, I just heard an interview.
Like Nick Saban. Nick Saban said it. That's why I'm leaving.
I think even Rick Pitino said we don't even coach high school kids anymore. We just go into the court and take the juniors that we need. Yeah. Like so, it's like I'm going to go get a polished kid. And youth hockey, we're doing that now. Like right now, we're not going and developing the kids. We're just going and getting the polished kid. So but as far as so it has changed, and your relationship, I think, is hurt by that because you don't get to build those lasting long-term relationships with players and kids because you're always like I have a rule. Like I don't become like Facebook friends with the parents of the kids on my team because I know in 6 months they're all going to hate me. Like they're like it's gonna be like, yeah, we're a Facebook family, we love each other, and then but you got cut. Like I hate you, you're an idiot.
Yeah. I don't have that problem, Mike.
I know, but you're a good coach. I think, when you're not a great coach, you get all this. and it puts you in a bad situation because why just avoid it, and so, but there is no time anymore where you can get hidden by that. Like you're there. Like it's like everyone knows like this is the situation we're in. So it is much different than but good and bad, right? If you're a terrible person and a terrible coach, you're going to get exposed too, and you're not going to be able to linger in organization. Like look at Chicago, right, or wherever. You can't linger in an organization for years and years and years and years without anybody calling you out. Like it's so much harder to hide the bad people because now we do have exposure to them.
Right.
So I don't know if I answered your question, but
no, you did. It's a lot to think about. I mean, that's the other side of it. Even if you want to go into coaching, I think I can do this. I've got the skill. I can manage kids. I can, do scheduling. I'm good at all that. I love hockey. I have passion for the game. There's the side of it. It's also now a reality as part of it. So you need to go into it with your eyes wide open.
Big time.
So that's, yeah.
Well, and if I may, Christie, the question was about with the kids and Mike makes some good points. I want to say this too, that, look, it's not, you asked about the opportunity to coach kids. It's really not an opportunity. It's a privilege. And that's how I look at it now. All right. Is that the trust that is empowered to me to help develop these kids as people first and as hockey players second is a real privilege and a real honor. And I don't take that lightly. These parents are handing their kids off to us to help them grow. Now, again, parents are the biggest advocate for their own kids, 100%. There's nobody's going to love the kid more than the parent. But, you really do care about these kids. Even the tough situations where everything's telling you to kick the kid off the team, that's not easy. It's not easy to deal with that. Like, you don't want that. It's not, at least for me, I don't necessarily want to kick a kid off a team ever. There are scenarios where that is what ends up happening. But it is a privilege to be able to coach. The other thing, too, Mike brought up, when I started coaching, it was so much of me wanting to show people what I know, which is not good, right? Like again, when I was younger, it was like, let me show you what I know. That was the attitude. Now, I was very successful, and Mike said this too. I still very much cared about my athletes. It wasn't a complete ego trip, but it was there of I need to prove myself and show everybody what I know. And as I've gotten older and matured, that's very, very little of it. I mean, if at all. Right. It's more of, like I said, it's a privilege that you trust me what I know, but it's so much more about the players and the people, whether it be parents or staff or whatever level you're coaching at. And it's not, let me show you what I know. It's, I would love to share with you my knowledge and we can learn together. And I don't, if that sounds softy out there, you're missing the point. I'm going to be honest with you. Look, I'll say this is the only egotistical thing I'll say. I win a lot. I'm very, very, very privileged. I win a lot with the teams that I coach with. Okay. And so it's not based on me though. And I'll flip it, right? It's the we of the whole thing. We win a lot. And that's the difference between the younger me and the older me, is that when I look at the teams we coach now, it's like together we have accomplished something, right? So again, we talked about tactics, right? I know my tactics. I'm a pretty good tactician. I'm not a great tactician, but this goes back to being a coach. I don't need to be the best tactician. I need to find the best tactician to be part of my staff, right? So that we can find that ecosystem that's going to work. And I've said this before too. It's been a while. You can be the greatest hockey tactician that's ever lived, but if you can't communicate those tactics effectively, you're worthless. It's not going to work.
I think a great example too is if you watch college games and pro games and you watch like at a timeout, and you more so than not, you'll see not the head coach, with those last minute, setups for in zone defense or offense, because it's the special teams guy that's working with those players all the time. So it's they're giving, now could that person be like, hey, it's my team, I'm smarter than everyone. I guess you could go in there, but I don't know. Listen, I've been on teams. So I'm like, who is in our power play anyway? Who do we have up next?
It's not my pay grade. Yeah.
Right. But I just you delegate, a lot of positions and a lot of setups to other coaches. And sometimes you're like, you'll look down the bench like, wow, that was a really great play. Like, that was unbelievable. How do you come up with that? Or when did you work on that? Like, oh, I've been working on that after practice with the kids for like the last 4 weeks. And those are, while I was out, fighting for my job. So I think it's just like, it's all that kind of stuff that comes into play where when you can mute ego and surround yourself with the right people, but also make sure those people around you want to support you as well.
That's a great word he used real quick. Just you said mute ego.
Time.
I love that. I love
mute
that.
Ego. We probably have time for one more question, and I'm really curious about this. I think great way to wrap this podcast up. So look back at all your years of coaching. Was there a favorite moment, memory, event that made you say, wow, this was all worth it? All the aggravation, all the parent controversy, all the darts that were thrown at me. This moment sealed the deal. I'm so glad I'm here and as a coach. Mike.
Tough question.
Early.
No, it's a tough question.
I know because you have so many memories, right?
It
doesn't even have to be the favorite, but something.
How about this? I'll tell in a story format.
Okay.
When I was on the bench for my first pro championship, in my mind at that time, I was very unproven in the sense of that my approach hadn't yet won me a big championship. And I remember winning that. And there's a video of me on the bench kind of screaming into the air, like really like just letting it out. Right. I remember it was like years of relief, exploding out of me. Now, what's funny about that, Chris, this is why I bring it up. It was a wonderful moment. I mean, it was probably the peak of my pro coaching career, is that a few years later, talk about ego, right? Muting ego. A few years later, I was on the bench for an international championship. So this is a nation now that has won a gold medal with Puerto Rico. And it was the exact opposite. I didn't have the need to prove myself. And I remember there's a video of me also just standing on the bench with a smile on my face, just so happy for my athletes. I had no self-reflection of me having been the coach of that team, but I was so happy for my players. Right. And it was almost the complete opposite, but they were both moments of elation in their own right. But if I had to pick one, winning with my two children last year, the elementary league, look, first off, they're unique ages. So they're far enough apart that there's only 2 years in their entire school career they'll ever play together. And this was one of them. Right. And I kind of realized, like, if we, whether we win or not, this is special, but the chances of them winning together on the same team are very, very small. So when we won that championship in overtime, that was a really special moment to me as just a father. Yeah. And I think that while the pro championships were great, that probably is the top. The father with it. I'm looking at, I have pictures all around me of that moment. So it must have been an important moment of us winning. I can't grab one right now, but like there's one of the three of us together with their medals on, biting the medals and standing with the banner. I mean, and I want to finish on that because again, I've been so blessed with these tremendous kind of wins in hockey, but the one with my kids has got to be the most special.
That sealed the deal.
I mean, I don't know. I think for me, I just like having, my father coached for a long time, and I really, those are things I'll never forget. Like my father was way ahead of his time as a coach because he didn't ever care about winning, and he never talked about it, and he never he just cared about making sure you were having fun. And the team was having fun. Sometimes it was at the expense of his son sitting the bench. But I think it was, I said, I should be on the power play. No, you can't be on the power play. I'll have to hear about it. I said, well, I'm the best player on the team. I want to play. So I think so those are like really cool, like core memories that are kind of in my brain about in kind of, and to Lee's side too, like coaching my own kids and having an opportunity to see them succeed from the bench side, which is really, I've always said I'm very envious of all these parents that have a lot of pictures of their kids playing and videos of them playing, because I don't have any of that. Like, as I'm on the bench, I'm like, I get like the grainy live barn video of my kids succeeding, where other parents are in the corner with the camera and they're following their own kid around, and so to me, I think that when I watch, and again, I've won a lot, like high school championships and prep games, and like this, and even winning, like for me. like not winning championships in college, but winning meaningful games that you knew were accomplished because you led up to it with a certain, like you knew the personnel you had, so you achieved from what you had. Like, as a coach, like, I know I'm not going to achieve this, but when I can achieve these other things that now they can take on for the rest of their lives, and put together in their cap and come back, and it's like some of the most best memories I have are being in alumni games, watching players come back to them, like to embracing their experience. That I would take a lot of credit, and I created that environment. Like, so I think, so those I love, not to single out any individual game, but I think it's just all those memories and fortunately or unfortunately, like they all seem to meld together for me. Like I'm the guy, like right now, like you see on Instagram, like 20 years ago, I keep thinking 20 years ago was 1975, right?
Yeah.
I mean? So it's like what?
2005, Mike.
Like when did all this happen? Like when the hell did all this happen? Like when did the time go? And I think in coaching, like players in and out, like I meet players all the time, like, oh, coach, remember me? I'm like, I don't even, like, when did I coach you? Like like I don't. It
was the late 1900s, Mike.
I see the player, and I can't. I'm like, you were a little tiny baby, like you were a kid, like a little Winwell hockey helmet at the time. So I think it's like, to me, like those are all cool things and really great experiences. But I think anybody wants to get into coaching, those are the kind of things you remember at the end of coaching.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah, well, I want to thank you both for your honesty, your openness, sharing the ups and the downs and personal stories. I think you're going to help a lot of listeners right now decide whether or not they are cut out for coaching. And maybe we've got some new coaches to recruit thanks to this podcast.
Yeah, well, Christy, I'll tell you, you keep doing shows like this, people are going to start listening to this podcast. I'll tell you, this Our Kids Play Hockey podcast. No, Christy, let me, on behalf of Mike too, let me thank you. Those were great questions. And for those of you listening, Christy really had the idea for this episode, and we thought it was a great episode because, we realized we don't talk about this aspects of Mike and I enough. We're always trying to share and interview, but this has been great. So, I guess I'll go back to being the host now. That's going to do it for this edition of Our Kids Play Hockey. Remember, if you have questions about coaching, if you have thoughts about anything, you can email us, team@ourkidsplayhockey.com. Join our Facebook group, Our Kids Play Hockey. A lot of conversations in there. And remember, you can always text us episode ideas. There's a link accompanying this episode in the show description. But for Christy Casciano Burns, the interviewer, the journalist, USA Hockey's mom, and Mike Benelli, a level 5 coach, but so much more. All right. I'm Lee Elias. We'll see you on the next episode of Our Kids Play Hockey. Take care, everybody. We hope you enjoyed this edition of Our Kids Play Hockey. Make sure to like and subscribe right now if you found value wherever you're listening, whether it's a podcast network, a social media network, or our website, ourkidsplayhockey.com. Also, make sure to check out our children's book, When Hockey Stops, at whenhockeystops.com. It's a book that helps children deal with adversity in the game and in life. We're very proud of it. But thanks so much for listening to this edition of Our Kids Play Hockey, and we'll see you on the next episode.